is 6 o'clock, Tuesday, September 26, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting of the Montgomery City Council into session at this time. We have a lot present here. Thank you for your presence and taking an interest in our city. And those who have tuned in from the outside, we appreciate your interest in our city. We'd like to ask that you silence your cell phones to avoid any interruptions to our meeting as we proceed. And as she sits down,
Sorry, traffic.
a little traffic problems, but we have all council members in attendance at this time, and we have some special guests that we'll note here in just a few minutes, so thank you for your attendance today. With that, I'd like to ask you to stand for the invocation given by Mr. Donaldson, and a salute to our pledges.
Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. This is the day that you've made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for tonight, Father, that our annual budget, Father, will be voted on. We thank you, Father, this budget is balanced. We thank you, Lord, that we've done as well as we can with the monies we have available, and I think it's going to prove to be a good budget for the city at this time. Lord, I thank you that you put your hand on it and bless it, Father, for us. In the name of Jesus, and bless all those in the hearing of my voice. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Salute to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, under the citizens forum.
I'm sorry, Judge Rush, you can do the announcement first.
Oh, okay.
Who's on there? We're not good to sit on here.
It's not.
She's laid right here.
Yeah. Oh, what now? Oh, the item 14?
No, number one. Up top, right here.
Oh, the proclamation. Okay. Got it. Let me do that first.
Carol.
Carol, please sign it.
Thank you for reminding me.
Can I ask Christian Rao to come this time? Excuse me, Ruth. And I want to call. And we're very proud of you for what you've done. And so I'm going to read that to everyone. Honoring Christian Ruth, Eagle Scout recipient, whereas the city of Montgomery takes great pride in its citizens and the organizations within, and whereas the vision of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare every eligible youth in America to become responsible, participating citizens and leaders who are guided by the Scout Code and law. And whereas Christian recently received the Boy Scouts of America Honor Medal with Cross Palms, which is among the rarest of all of the national BSA honors, with only 3 such medals a year being awarded. Whereas the medal honors a BSA youth or adult who has demonstrated unusual heroism and extraordinary skill and resourcefulness in saving a life at extreme risk to self. And whereas in November of 2020, Christian took action when he witnessed one student in grave danger and another student potentially about to make a huge mistake, Christian intervened and prevented a very serious situation from becoming even more serious. And whereas the BSA National Court of Honor chose to convey to Christian the Honor Medal with Cross Palms for his 2020 actions, whereas Christian is a scout of the Montgomery-based BSA Troop 623 and has grown into a well-respected young man that both adults and scouts look to as an example. Now, therefore, I, Byron Sanford, Mayor of the City of Montgomery, Texas, do hereby honor Christian Ruth of the Boy Scout Troop 623 on his achievement of attaining the Elite Award of Honor Medal with Cross Palms. Congratulations.
It's
Want to do the
Nancy's
fence?
fault. I'm really proud of you.
One more.
Hey, it's our fault because we're proud of you. Sue's gonna take it all out. Don't.
You're asking from your building. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Did you Google the money?
I looked at it.
When the last time you talked to him?
Thank you, Mr. Yes, sir.
Let's not give it a stand yet. No. All right. Guys.
Let's see. Now we're to the visitors forum. And we have one signed up, Mr. Randy Burley. Go to the microphone, state your address. Stan, you'll keep the 3 minutes for us.
Hello, Council and Mayor. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Randy Burley. I live at 130 Harley in Buffalo Springs. And Gwen and I moved here in 2009. And I'm not a big speech guy, but I do chase numbers and do a lot of analysis. I've been doing this for the city since 2016. And I also volunteered for just about every position in the city beside maybe one, MEDC. During my first years here, the city had budget issues, okay? Just like kind of we do today. Our budget was under $1 million most of the time. We had about 650 people living here then. We had some big cuts to make. We actually ended up cutting our K-9 unit and we cut our detective at the time. But we had to try to manage our budget. And then we had some other constraints years later with the Catahoula well. I think two of y'all have been here way before me, so you probably have a lot more examples of tough times in Montgomery. But we have to manage our budget. I listened to the workshop last night, and maybe I should have said this then. This may be a day late and a dollar short. But during the open discussion, I was glad to hear a lot of back and forth. Okay, that was very good to hear. Especially with well 2 down and everything going on, and with all the new facilities in the future coming our way. That's well 2 is just the start of the money we need. But I noticed over the years a lot of things we tend to do. First thing we do on a budget, and I was on council before, we cut the roads. Roads always cut. They are terrible and they show it big time. But it should be part of our infrastructure considered. So when we look at getting our tax money and all our fees coming in, we should look at roads included. We always want to cut them first. I know salaries are important. That was a big discussion last night. After the go around with the salaries, I think we all kind of ended up with maybe 4% for 9 months. I'm not sure if y'all sell on that or if it's too late, but I had a couple of thoughts on that. I would personally think that would work if maybe you did merit raises instead of COLA and doing 3 or 4 just for the hourly employees, and the salary people maybe go back and look at conditional raises depending on what our budget will allow between January and March of next year. We have a lot of things happening now. We have the housing market kind of collapsing on us, and we need those funds. We had a big year with water revenue, huge year. This is our biggest year because of the drought. If we have a wet year next year, you're not going to take those funds in, okay? And you need funds for this well and future projects for our future growth projections. The third one I propose is
Go ahead and finish your thought.
ASAP. Look at your water. In the past, we've always looked at our water revenue, our projections of usage from year to year, and projected our water sewers revenue, like the police said last night. The money comes from utility fund, okay? But look at the multifamily and look at the commercial Irrigation rates, the highest rate at over 20,000 is $6.50. Look at increasing that. I think I've suggested that to the city in the past. We need to look at that real hard because we sold more water, almost 3 times irrigation versus normal residential rates month to month. This summer, it's irrigation. That would help conservation, and that would help some of these fees or salaries we want to pay, that you have to pay out of this fund. All right? And we can get into details later on that, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and good luck. And we appreciate, the community does appreciate y'all working hard on this. I know this is a tough one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Under public hearing, item 1 is to open a public hearing for the purpose of the 2023 tax rate regarding the tax rate of .40 per $100 of assessed valuation to be set as the 2023 tax rate for fiscal year 2024 as proposed by the governing body of the city of Montgomery. It is 6:11, and we are open for any public comments. Anyone? If not, it is 6:11, and we will close the public hearing for the tax rate. Item 2 is to open the public hearing for fiscal year 2024 annual budget public hearing for the purpose of hearing public comments regarding the proposed fiscal year 2024 City of Montgomery annual budget. This budget will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $107,916 or 5.87%. And of that amount, $70,042 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax roll this year. It is 6:12, and we are now open for any public comments regarding the 2024 budget. Any comments? If not, it is 6:12, and we will close that public hearing, and we're ready to go on to item 3. Everybody good? Consent agenda, approval of the following minutes. Item A, City Council Budget Workshop 8/11/2023. Item B, City Council Budget Workshop 9/11/2023. Item C, City Council Regular Meeting 9/12/2023. What is the council's pleasure on these items?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I was just making sure, was everybody that was at these workshops and meetings on the minutes?
I think so, but there is one thing. For the workshop on 9/11, on page 12, it's very insignificant. It talks about Lone Star Parkway to FM 762. And it should be one, should not be that.
No, we don't have that street.
We don't have a 762.
So I'm sorry, can you explain what the correction actually is?
I'm sorry?
What is the correction? I can't hear over here.
Oh, the correction would be Lone Star Parkway, I think it's to FM 1097
1097, okay.
And it says 762.
instead of 762.
Okay. All right.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second with the noticed correction for 9/11/2023. Motion is by Casey, second is by Sarah. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 3, A, B, and C, say yes.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve item 3 consent agenda. Item 4, consideration possible action regarding adoption by record of vote of the following ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Montgomery, Texas, adopting an operating budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024. This budget will raise more total property taxes than last year's budget by $107,916 or 5.87%. And of that amount, $70,042 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax roll this year.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Mary Ann Carl, our Finance Director, to go over the budget and answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
All right, Mayor and Council, we're pleased to present the FY24 final proposed budget for consideration this evening. As you know, a great deal of collaboration has gone into the process this year, and we appreciate everybody's participation. The budget before you this evening includes the following. Increases in the general fund revenue for building permits as a result of growth, increase in community building rentals, interest income, and the transfer from MEDC for administrative support. In the general fund expenses, we have an increase under general consulting. You may recall this was for third-party assistance for review and update of the City Code of Ordinances, as well as a comprehensive compensation study. This budget also includes 2 police patrol vehicles and patrol weapons. The general fund and water sewer fund include a 16% increase in health insurance, as well as a 4% cost of living increase this next year. That is effective on January 1st. I would also like to remind you that there are some revenues and expense lines that are being moved to liability accounts. You'll notice that change if you compare this year's budget to last year's budget, as there are some line items that have been zeroed out. This is due to the fact that these are not truly city revenue or expenses. Accounts impacted include state court fees, collection agency fees, as well as sales tax payable for utility billing. One final note, this year's operating budget does not include large capital improvements. These items have been moved to the Capital Projects Fund, and a plan and budget will be brought forth in the coming months. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on specifics. The budgets that are in front of you do have the changes based on last night's workshop, and the first 3 pages of the document summarize the changes between the proposed budget that was posted back in August and the final budget in front of you tonight.
Okay. Questions?
So upon reflection of last night's meeting regarding raises for city staff, I'd like to make a change. I just am not settled with what we discussed. We did not vote on anything, but we kind of talked about options out and kind of narrowed down maybe what potential options are. And I just feel like that we should, I'm asking council to consider the 4%, maybe it's a 4% merit, whatever we want to call it, for those hourly wage workers, and take no consideration for department heads at this time.
That was my feeling, one of my few comments last night, that in economies such as this, your hourly wage people get impacted the most, and then I think the 4% would be appropriate. Yes, the lower end ends up getting, reasonably insignificant, but you also look at it like $100 a month is significant when you make less money going back and forth. I think we're in a situation where we need to hold it tight and shoot for something better in the future, where you can decide performance types of reward merit pay, for example. But we're definitely not there right now. We need some time to develop that. I would just recommend 4% for people who make a hourly income, if that's possible to do.
So I think last night we talked about 9 months at 4%.
Right.
For COLA. So
Yep.
merit and COLA are completely different. So if you
Right.
want 4% COLA, 9 months for all employees other than department heads. Okay.
Yeah.
How does council feel about that?
So Caleb, the question of that is our ordinance and the way that it states our cost of living raises. Do we have to change?
I haven't reviewed the ordinance.
It's a policy, not the ordinance, the compensation policy. You're talking about COLA applying to all, yeah, we have to amend that.
That's our
policy.
hang-up, right? So we can have it amended by January 1st?
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we just approve the budget tonight, subject to the...
Absolutely, just to the amendment to the budget.
Any other discussion?
Yes. So, I apologize, I didn't get to watch the MEDC meeting, but I'm looking at the MEDC budget, and I know the meeting before, there was an $8,000 line item for someone to transcribe minutes. Is that still in here? I'm not seeing it. Did that get taken out?
I don't recall one ever being in there for $8,000 to transcribe.
But there was like use of the building was going to be X, and business stuff was this, and,
Administrative
well,
transfer.
yeah, and am I just not seeing administrative transfer? Was that under administrative transfer?
Yes, ma'am, all under.
I just see public
Transfer to
infrastructure.
5,000.
So was that kept in, I guess is my question.
It's in the 275.
Oh,
It's part of the 270.
oh, it's part of the 279, so it doesn't get taken and, okay. So then we will be, MEDC will be charged the 8,000 for somebody to transcribe. That's what I needed to know.
Yes, ma'am.
And so when that happens, what page are you on? Oh, here, on the budget. I guess that person still gets the COLA on top of that if they're hourly?
Yeah, because that's a separate,
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
separate job.
Okay. Is that person
They're
hourly or
not,
salary?
they're not an employee of
They're probably a
MEDC.
contract.
Is that right?
Diana is the one that's been doing the EDC minutes, and
Yes.
she is an hourly employee.
Yes.
Okay,
So she gets it the one time.
so the 8,000 plus the 3%?
Well, I don't know
She
that
doesn't
she,
get paid for them doing the minutes. That's an administrative
Right.
cost that gets transferred between
Okay,
MEDC
I had
and the
misunderstood. Okay, all right, great. I just want a clarification on that. Thank you.
Any others?
So I do want to clarify, and Chief, you may have to help me out. How many of your guys are on salary?
Just myself and Lieutenant.
yeah, it just shows two.
I was just double checking.
Just him and Lieutenant. Everybody else's salary. I appreciate the department heads that everybody spoke up in different ways for their teams, and I appreciate that very much last night.
Yep. All right, good discussion. Any others? We worked very hard on that. Thank you, staff, for the hard work you put in, and this council has gone over and above in due diligence. We work very hard. It's very stressful, time-consuming, so thank you, council and staff.
Thank you, Mary
For your
Ann.
efforts.
I know
Mary
you're
Ann,
one of the newest ones here
Yes.
and walked into
A mess.
A mess. It's done what you say.
mess, chaos, whatever you want to call it. So thank you for having to rework the whole innards.
It's still a little messy.
It is, but I appreciate everybody's help.
Still couldn't find that extra million, but I kept going by your office.
Oh, that's not what you say, ouch.
All right. Someone like to frame a motion with the amendment in mind?
I'll make a motion to pass the budget as stated with the amendment to the COLA increases to exclude all department heads and include all the hourly employees at 4% to start January 1st of 2024.
I believe that covers it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll take Carol's as a second. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. We will do that by roll call. Starting with position 1, Carol, yes or no?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
And by 5-0, we will approve the adoption of the budget for the fiscal year 2024. Thank you for your efforts. All right. Item 5, consider, adopt, and set by ordinance the 2023 ad valorem tax rate for maintenance and operations, .3030 per $100.
Thank you, Mayor. This obviously is to set the tax rate to fund all the improvements that you just approved. That's all I have.
Rather redundant.
Yes. A bit redundant, but do we have a motion?
Necessary. I accept item number 5 as presented.
Any other seconds?
Or I did make a motion to accept. Item
Okay.
number 5 is second.
Motion by Sarah, second by Cheryl. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. This one does not need a roll call, am I correct? All in favor of approving item 5 as written, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. We will approve item 5. Item 6, consider adopting and set by ordinance the 2023 ad valorem tax rate for debt service at .0970 per $100.
Thank you, Mayor. This is also the tax rate set to pay for the debts that we accrue. Basically it.
All right, we have a motion or recommendation.
Make a motion to approve item 6 as presented.
Motion by Casey, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stan. The motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 6 as stated and written, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve item 6. Item 7, consideration possible action on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, setting the ad valorem tax rate of the City of Montgomery for the year 2023 at a rate of .400 per $100 valuation on all taxable property within the corporate limits of the City of Montgomery as of January 1, 2023, specifying separate components of such rate for operations and maintenance and for debt service, levying an ad valorem tax for the year 2023, providing for due and delinquent dates together with penalties and interest, providing for collection and ordaining other related matters.
Thank you, Mayor. The 40 cents per $100 tax rate, this is the ordinance that adopts the combination of the last 2 tax rates we adopted, the M&O and the debt service. And this is that combination, and it sets your tax rate for this year.
I have a legally written motion here in red for whoever wants to make that motion.
I will.
Before we make the motion, though, I do want to talk about this real quick. I know there's not much we can say one way or the other, but I do want to point out that we work very hard to not raise our taxes. Now, we have no control over our property values, so we do know your taxes go up. But our tax rate has not. And it's, what, is this 5 or 6 years?
5
now?
consecutive years, we have not raised taxes.
So as long as I have breath in me and I keep getting elected, I'm doing everything in my power, but that rate will not change. So
Absolutely, that's what we believe. Any other comments? All right, Carol?
I move that the property tax rate be increased by adoption of .40 of 100, which is effectively a 2.51% increase in the tax rate.
Motion by Carol, do I have a second?
second.
Second by Casey. The motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 7 as stated by Carol Langley, say yes.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. And the motion carries 5-0.
Don't you have to have a record vote
You have to
You
have
do have to have a record vote on it?
on this one?
My apologies.
No,
So,
no, you're fine.
position 1, Carol.
Yes.
Position 2, Casey.
Yes.
Position 3, Sarah.
Yes.
Position 4, Cheryl.
Yes.
Position 5, Stan.
Yes.
Stan. Don't stand, Stan, just be Stan. All right, so we got the roll call vote, and the motion carries as stated for item 7. Item 8, consideration and possible action regarding the award of contract for water and sewer operations and maintenance services, and authorize the city administrator to execute the contract.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Got an agenda item in front of you. We went out for bids in September, received all bids, and we are recommending to go with Hayes Utility for our next operations services contract. They are a local company here not in the city limits, but in Montgomery. They're based off 105. I feel confident that they're going to do a good job for us. The only thing I'd like to point out is if you're looking at your bottom line pricing, they seem extremely low on their pricing, and I'm sure you're thinking, why is that? It's actually right in line with what we're currently paying for base services. So the current contract includes base services and preventative maintenance as one price. We split that back out for this one and separated it. And the $51,000, I think the current contract is roughly $48,000 for base services. So they're not out of line with what we're currently paying for that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and also have Mr. Wright and Mr. Lucas here from Hayes. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Mike, were you here when we had Hayes Utility one other time?
I was not. That was before my time. Whenever I hired on, we actually had the first H2O, the one started by Ronnie Christian.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just to make it clear, when do they start?
It would be, so we have to give 30-day notice to the current contractor. So I anticipate delivering that notice in time to start this contract November 1st.
Okay.
And why didn't H2O participate? Did they give you feedback?
Say that one more time.
Why H2O did not participate, our current contractor, why they didn't participate?
I can't answer that.
I didn't know if they gave you any feedback.
No, ma'am.
So with 51,000 being the lowest and the highest is 135,000, that's a huge gap. Is every other services all apart? I just get nervous with what are we missing, or why there's such a gap?
Well, so I can't answer why they're so far apart. When I asked the question so I asked MMIA at 116, why they were so much higher than what we're currently paying. Their response was that's what they feel that's needed to provide service. I mean, it's a generic answer, but it's the best one that they offered. I'm not going to speak for Hayes, but my gut tells me that a lot of it has to do with their proximity. So they're right down the road compared to other companies coming from the Spring area every day. I see Hayes trucks in town more than I see my own guys' trucks. I mean, they have everything around us right now, so they're always in town. They have guys, I think every day I see guys eating lunch at Brookshire's. There's always a Hayes truck. So I think that proximity has a lot to do with it. They're not having to spend as much time on the road getting to and from. But like I said, I'm not speaking for them. I'm just assuming that probably has a lot to do with it.
If I remember correctly, Carol, before there were billing issues, like is that correct? And so do you know, or you can ask them, has those been hammered out or changed? We were getting double billed on some things. And
Who would oversee the billing once it comes to the city? Does it go?
Oh, once it comes to the
Mary
city, that
Kay?
comes straight to Public Works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as it currently does. Yeah.
All right.
So, are you saying that Hayes was double billing before? Well, I can't, that was before my time. I'd have to let them answer any questions on current
I think
processes.
they've changed,
Yeah.
and, I mean, the owners are not the same. I may be wrong, but I would be concerned on that.
Well, I can assure you that we nitpick on our invoices.
Gotcha.
It's kind of one of the things that we're known for. And, it is what it is. Every month there's something that we email back on, and it's a lot of times it's innocent mistakes. It's not anything. I don't think anything, mischievous or anything. It's just innocent mistakes. But we do catch them. We're pretty good at catching those.
Everybody good? All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to consider the possible action regarding the award of the contract for water and sewer operations and maintenance services and authorize the city administrator to execute the contract.
I second that.
Second by Cheryl. Motion is by Casey. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor of approving item 8 as stated, say yes.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve item 8.
Would this be a year-to-year contract or a 3-year contract?
3-year
Sorry, I'm
contract.
asking.
It's a 3-year.
Oh,
3-year
okay.
contract.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Item 9, consideration possible action on a resolution by the City Council of Montgomery adopting labor standards, procedures, and oversight responsibility for the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery CDBG-DR project with the General Land Office, GLO, state contract number 19-076-017-B366.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a resolution before you tonight. As the agenda report states, the GLO does a monitoring of the grant process with the recipients of the grants. They found one finding in their monitoring, and it related specifically to payroll deductions for some of the subcontractors that were working on it. Were not their authorizations for deductions were not signed before the payroll period started. These deductions were standard things like their taxes, their insurance, their, any other withholdings that they would make. As a reminder, we hired GrantWorks to be our grant administrator. And part of their service included a labor standards officer. In speaking with them and in speaking with the monitors that did the GLO review, the GLO has changed the interpretation of some of their policies, whereas they used to accept those payroll deduction forms to be signed after the payroll period started, just based on the fact that, well, this was an employee for 6 months or for 6 years for this and had been, getting their withholdings out the whole time. The GLO wants a form signed before every payroll period starts that they authorize those deductions to come out. So in order to resolve this, so we found one finding, or we had one finding. There was a 2-part fix. One was GrantWorks. I think there were 2 employees that they tried to make contact with. They tried to call them. They talked to the subcontractors. The GLO was satisfied that we made an appropriate effort to try to get those signatures. The other is the resolution that's before you tonight that essentially says that we will oversee the labor standards officer. The reality is, or the practicality of that is that, our staff, like a lot of small cities, we're not, labor and payroll experts. That's why we hire them. But what this resolution is needed for is because this is what is going to resolve that finding for us and, in their terms, clear the finding. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any comments or questions that you have.
So this will clear it up, you said?
Yes, ma'am. This, along with the call log and contact sheet that GrantWorks has already provided to the GLO, that they made a reasonable effort to try and contact those employees.
Will this affect any kind of a rating, a city rating?
If we do not adopt it, then we will have a finding, essentially on our record. What this does is it clears the finding. The reason that the project number is in there is because it is specific to this. Now, we don't have any grant applications or upcoming projects with the GLO. We didn't want to make it so generic that we've got this on the books and in 5 years nobody remembers that this is on the books. It's just a matter of, clearing it specific to this project, and in the future just knowing that the GLO is going to, interpret their rules differently. Then we'll have this, to look back on, but not where they come back and say, well, you adopted a resolution back in, 7 or 8, years ago. Why aren't you following it now? So that's why the resolution is specific to this project.
Okay, other questions?
Make a motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
Motion by Sarah, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Stan, motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All in favor of approving the resolution, item 9, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. We will approve the resolution, item 9. Thank you, Dave. Item 10, nomination and appointments or reappointments to the Montgomery Economic Development Corporation, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and Transportation Advisory Committee. Take this one at a time. So the floor is open for council nominations to the MEDC. And what is the council's pleasure?
I would like to nominate Arnett Easley.
I think we have a consensus there.
I'd like to second that.
So we'll give that to Carol, being quick on the button. And the second was Cheryl.
Actually, it was Sarah.
It was Sarah.
She
My
got
bad.
it.
My bad.
But I would have.
Okay. I think we're all on the same wavelength there. So the motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of appointing Arnett Easley to the MEDC, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will appoint that guy right there back on to the MEDC.
Thank you, Arnett.
Yay, Arnett.
All right. So we are closing, let's see, delivery point. Okay, got it. So the floor is now open for nominations to the Planning and Zoning. We have the one applicant is a reapplication for that one spot. So what is the council's pleasure?
Nominate, reappoint Daniel Gazda to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Carol?
I'll second.
All right, I heard you coming there. Second is by Carol. The motion is debatable, amendable, and requires majority vote. All in favor of reappointing Daniel Gazda to the Planning and Zoning Commission, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will appoint Daniel Gazda back onto the Planning and Zoning Commission. The floor is now open for a newly formed committee called the Transportation Advisory Committee. I think in the workshop yesterday, it was well pointed out that Ms. Shawn Davis is highly qualified, and it would be kind of a no-brainer there with her experience in transportation directly. We've talked about George Hernandez. I told you yesterday that I would get back with him, and he did send me his complete interest in writing as an email. So Officer Hernandez has direct collaboration with TxDOT. That was upon Chief's recommendation to begin with. So I see two spots there. I had somebody at the state level that I thought would be interested. They declined. I think there was another applicant that came by way of Mr. Donaldson, and he advised you that particular gentleman is not available. And so we have the two possibilities there, Gary. Remember that Gary is ex officio in that design there, and I had not intended to serve on that. I was kind of opening that up to other council members possibly, and I've talked to a couple of council members about that. So we really have three openings there. Is that right, Gary? Is that what you're seeing?
That's three.
I've talked to Stan and Sarah both. I think they could add something there and have a committee to go to. But if there's another council member that feels strongly, they can speak up. We could put one, we could put two, or we could, Gary, could we partially fill this until we get maybe another choice? Because that's, or...
That's fine. I mean, we have 5 members, and I'll just read this because I have to read from time to time, make sure I'm writing this. So the committee shall consist of 5 members. 1 appointee should be a council member. 1 appointee should be the police chief or his or her designee, with the remaining appointees being 3, having an interest in the city of Montgomery, resident, business owner, outside agency partner, etc., and a background that benefits the community. So really, you have 3 seats to fill.
I did reach out to the schools, as stated yesterday, and that was almost 2 months ago, and I did it in a formal email invitation. As you know, the superintendency has changed over in that, and so they have their hands full there, and the transportation director did not want to. I agree that it might be good to maybe hold the spot if you wanted to hold a fifth spot. I don't know. What's the council thinking there? We could put 2 council members there for initially and hold the 5th one open for maybe another prospect.
I know Stan's interested in being on the committee, and that's wonderful. I'd go ahead, and if you need another spot, I'm happy to, because I think we all know that I'm very passionate when it comes to our roads and our traffic.
Absolutely.
Hence why I was there.
Thoughts? Gary, would that be okay to form it with 4 and maybe reopen for another?
Yeah, we'll keep it'll be open, rolling applications till we get a full committee. But that's not going to keep us from having meetings and continuing to work. So yeah, you can put whoever you want on there.
How are we advertising the Transportation Committee? I think on our website as well as Facebook, and then word of mouth?
Website, Facebook. We opened it, we had it rolling for, I think, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We did publication in the newspaper. And then, of course,
I just didn't know if it was being missed with P&Z and MEDC, and maybe if it's standalone, there might be more interest.
Yeah.
We had it as a separate one on the, we had it as all of the committees and then on the transportation and on its own. So, but we did have it out on the marquee as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with
Okay.
the transportation one's so new, it may be just a
Sure.
something you guys may have to go out and recruit somebody to do just because it's brand new. Or someone on the city staff.
Anybody in the audience?
Engineers, if you would, I talked to y'all before, but if this person that we would use, we wouldn't have to pay them, would we?
What's that?
For these committee meetings? So I'm
The
not
engineer
willing to open up.
himself? WGA employee, you're saying?
You know, depending on the meeting, agenda, we have to be attendances.
And that was the apprehension there. So if you want to go with Sean and George and the 2 council and leave the other one open for as long as it takes, is that okay? So someone want to make a motion for that?
So it's Sean Davis, Officer George Hernandez, Stan Donaldson, and Sarah Countryman
That would be
currently
the motion.
to kick it off.
Officer Hernandez would be the appointment under the police chief.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the nomination of all 4 of those, Sean Davis, Officer Hernandez, and then the 2 councils, Stan Donaldson and Sarah Countryman. I second it.
Motion's by Sarah, seconds by Cheryl. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving Sean Davis, George Hernandez, Stan Donaldson, Sarah Countryman, with a 5th yet to be determined for the newly formed Transportation Advisory Committee. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed say no, and we will approve that committee as stated and go at the bare minimum of a couple of weeks or how long it takes to get that 5th spot. Everybody agree?
Gary, how often do you believe this committee to meet, just so when I'm recruiting, I can?
I think
Is it quarterly?
initially probably once a month.
Once a month.
But it's going to be up to the committee. It depends on the workload, what we have coming in.
I don't know if it's quarterly,
See that
monthly, okay.
fluctuating.
There are some critical needs that I will have at that first formation.
Yep.
Kind of get the ball rolling. We all kind of know what those are, and we'll get that up front and get on it as soon as possible.
Set the pace. Okay, good, thank you.
Actually, it's in the chart. It says the committee shall meet at least quarterly or as needed.
Quarterly, okay.
Location, time, and date to be determined by the committee.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That's item 10. Going to item 11, consideration possible action to approve a text pool resolution amending authorized representatives.
Yeah, this is just authorized Mary Ann to add her as a signer
Okay.
on her account.
All right, need a motion?
A motion to accept item 11 as presented.
Motion by Casey,
Second.
second by Stan. The motion is debatable, minimal, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving Mary Ann to the text pool resolution as a signer, I guess is what it is. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed say no. We will approve item 11 as stated.
Did you
you say no? Item 12, consideration possible action on calling a public hearing to be held on October the 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. related to a request to locate a HUD code manufactured home at 14692 North Liberty Street, Montgomery, Texas.
Mayor and council, good evening. The action that's being asked of you tonight is to call a public hearing for your next meeting. Our city code allows for a HUD code manufactured home to be placed outside of a mobile home park, with one condition that you guys call a public hearing and hold a public hearing. And so what we're asking you tonight is to call it for your next meeting on October 10th, and staff will make sure that the notice gets published, and be happy to answer any questions.
That's the only thing that the ordinance, is there any kind of requirement of the home?
Yes, there are, in terms of, a lot of the standard things, that the plumbing has to be a certain type of plumbing, the water line has to be a certain type of water line. The one difference, there's one physical difference between a home in the park and a home outside the park, and that is that an 8 by 12 deck be built at the primary entrance.
Can you clarify the time that, so when it's cleared, then a 8 by 12 at least porch is built, and then certain inspections before the house is moved in, is that correct?
So they would move the house in, they would do so they would need the same, the plumbing, the electrical, and the mechanical permit, just like a normal home would. Rick would be doing those inspections on that. One of the things that he would look at is the skirting on it, which is, that's a requirement in a park. But again, the one difference between a park home and one that's outside is that it have an 8 by 12 deck built at the primary entrance. So that's one of the things. So before he issued a certificate of completion for the project, because so there's not a CO on it, because it's a HUD code manufactured home, it's already suitable for occupancy. Rick, am I saying that right? It'd be a certificate of completion saying that it met all the requirements of the ordinance.
Okay.
All right.
And do we provide any kind of assistance to help them make sure that they get their permits? And I'm not asking them to be a general contractor here, so does the city help them out?
Sure, we talk to them as much as we need to do. There's, there is a line where, I don't want to, affirm that the home is going to be exactly here. I want the installer of the home to, show exactly where he's going to put it. But yes, we'll work with them, as much as they need.
Okay, good. All right, need a motion for item 12?
I make a motion for item 12 that we hold a public hearing to be held on October the 10th at 6 o'clock relating to the request to locate a HUD code manufactured home at 14692 North Liberty Street, Montgomery, Texas.
Motion by Carol, second by Casey. Boy, y'all are getting quick.
Do we need to put the address of the public hearing on there? Do you need to add that, Carol? I always thought we needed that 101 Federsville.
Public hearing would be held at City Hall.
Okay.
Okay. Motion by Carol, second by Casey. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All in favor of approving item 12 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no, and we will approve the public hearing. Item 13, authorize the sale of city-owned real property known as 213 Prairie Street in downtown Montgomery.
Thank you, Mayor. The city purchased a real property known as 213 Prairie Street in spring of 2022 for the purpose of converting the building, the property, to house our police department and court services. We have since found that the property is not feasible for this conversion. The city has no other viable use for the property. It needs the capital funds for the project. So as we previously discussed, we should sell this property. In order to do this, the City Council must authorize the sale of the property in a public meeting, and legal notice has to be published twice in the newspaper. The property cannot be sold until 14 days after the second day of the publication. The legal notice will instruct the bidders on how to obtain the bid package. And then we'll bring the results back to the council with a recommendation after the bid opening. So for tonight, we recommend the council authorize me, the city administrator, to sell 213 Prairie Street through published public bid.
Gary, I'm on board. I just have one thing that I'd like to point out. I looked at it online at our city website for the GIS report,
And I also cross-referenced it with the appraisal district. And the appraisal district states that we own 203 Prairie, which is in combination with 213 Prairie.
That's right.
The issue that I'm concerned about is 203 is zoned residential, where 213 is zoned commercial. So I think we would need to consider rezoning that before we sell. Is that correct?
Is that correct? Is it zoned residential?
I mean, I've got maps here for everybody if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I would. Can I see the 203? I was wondering why.
Because 203 is that empty lot. The actual building sits on 213.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you. But just before we get busy putting ads in papers or whatever, I just want to make sure we get that right.
Got it.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to authorize the sale of city-owned real property known as 213 and 203 Prairie Street in downtown Montgomery.
I second that.
Second.
Motion by Carol, I'll take Cheryl's as a second. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 13 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no, and we will approve item 13 as stated. Item 14, consideration of possible action on a Chapter 380 agreement by and between the City of Montgomery and Home Depot USA Incorporated for the Buffalo Springs Drive roadway construction and traffic signal at State Highway 105 West and Buffalo Springs Drive projects. Given discussions yesterday in our meeting, I'd like to call a special meeting for October the 2nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. to discuss and review and consider executing that 380 agreement. All right, everybody's cleared their calendar for that, correct?
At what time?
6 o'clock, right here at City Hall. All
No
right.
action on number 14.
Yep, no action.
No action. Okay, under departmental reports, item 15, sales tax report for September 2023.
And this was supposed to be in the consent. They're going to come in on October, or I think second meeting in October, which is 24th. They're going to be here to do a full report for y'all. I don't have any input on this one, unless you have any questions.
We have caught up for the fiscal year anyway. And our budget going beyond a little. Any other questions? If not, item 16.
What?
Any?
What did you have,
Stan?
Sam?
I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry.
Oh. Did you find it? Item 15?
I'm still waiting. I thought I saw on there that Home Depot was added. I just wondered how they got on there. But
Home Depot is on the list, and I think it's mainly from people ordering stuff online.
They order it here, so we get the tax dollars,
Yeah,
even
we
though
get
they
the
go pick
tax
it up
dollars.
wherever or it's shipped.
Yeah.
So that's the bonus when we have our residents, well, we don't have a Home Depot, is ordering it here, so we receive those tax dollars instead of our neighboring cities that have a Home Depot.
it's a mail order.
And that way you can just go pick it up and don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Item 16, utility operations report, H2O.
Good evening, council. Report for August, we had one district alert for a phase failure at lift station 5. That was due to a bad phase monitor. It was replaced. Power was restored to the site. No other issues. Next page will be your wastewater plant flow details. You'll see we recorded no rain for the month of August. The average daily flow was 207,000 gallons. Next will be your discharge limit. We did have a average violation on your ammonia due to the heavier concentration. I think it was coming in about 60 or 70 milligrams per liter, when it's usually around 20. So it's a little bit higher due to the lack of dilution with the rain coming in.
I'm sorry, what would you say? Did you just say it's the lack of what? Say that
The
again.
rain, the diluting the concentration coming in. It's usually y'all are around about 20 milligrams per liter. It was coming in at 60.
Didn't you just say we didn't have any rain?
Yeah, we had no rain.
So we had no rain to dilute.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was diluted. I'm like, wait a minute. That's why I was like, say that one more time. Okay, sorry. I heard it wrong.
Next page will be a water report for the month. We had total pumpage of 25.297 million gallons. We sold 24.391 million gallons, brought your total to 99%. Your kind of, I had to change it, but your pumpage for the year for well 3, you'll have 34.79 million gallons left in that, and well 4 is 35.262 million gallons left. We're keeping a close eye on that through the rest of the year. Next page is just your groundwater production for the previous 13 months. And that last page is your water accountability for the previous 13 months. Any questions or concerns?
If not, thank you. Item 17, Public Works Report.
Evening, Mayor and Council. You have the report in front of you. There's really nothing major on here to report. You see a slight uptick on the water side of assisting businesses and residents with leaks and consumption issues. We had a lot of those this month, but it's a service that we like to try to provide. If we can help in any way, we'll stick with doing that. Something that I'll report that's not on the report because it's happening today is the crane cabin. Is the roofing project on the crane cabin was finally went through this week. I believe they finished it up today. They were working on the ridge cap and a few repairs on the Jardine cabin, but I believe they got finished before the end of the day.
It looks really nice.
Yeah. And we had one of the ACs replaced in the community center. It had a leak in it, and I think that was done today too. So, but other than that, if there's any questions on the report, I'd be happy to answer them.
Did we get the loaner pump? I'm sure we did.
It was scheduled to be in today. Of course, it ran behind just like everything else.
Sure.
And set to be installed on Thursday, unless Jacob has another update since then. No, same, yeah, Thursday.
Okay. So then our 4 months starts from the day that it's delivered?
Of course.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, just making sure
Yeah.
that, okay. And was there any issues at 213 Prairie with the rain, the crazy rain we had last week?
Yeah, we still have a leak that we have to address. Roof vents.
Okay, any others? Thank you, Mike.
Thank y'all.
Item 18, Municipal Court Report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. For August 2023, citations were 245, and the revenue for that month was $44,333.70 for the municipal court. Do you all have any questions for court?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Item 19, Police and Code Enforcement Report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. You have our report there in front of you. I also gave you guys a copy of part of this month's flock machines and part of what's been. So just to go over a little bit of that with you guys, where it comes out was the 63 searches, investigations, attempt to locate, warrants, and the murder investigation. Those were people that were arrested here in Montgomery during the course of coming through here. They were arrested here in Montgomery. Our flock cameras are hooked up with all the flock cameras that are in Conroe, Houston, and anyone who has flock cameras. And the ones that they're about to put in Willis will be hooked as well. Where it says the 83 hits, you're talking about a blue alert, an amber alert. You have a silver alert, a clear, a wanted, a sex offender, supervised release. Those are license plates that were were pinged as they were coming through here. If those license plates come through here, they're always pinged to an officer's car or to his cell phone. If that car continues to be in this area, those cameras continue to ping in their cars that they're here. And some of the other ones on the back, we've gotten 2 stolen vehicles and at least 2 license plates that have been stolen and put onto other cars.
Good job. This block really paid off.
It has paid
Yeah,
off.
block it is paying off. Just a brief to council. You know, when I came to work here, we talked about, most of my interview was talking about the growth that was going on here. How would you keep up with that growth? And it talked about, because you were having some areas of conflict within the police department. We've cleared some of those things out. I think we've kept up with the growth. Last night when we were talking, you guys have to know you're a big part of what we do, because what we do, we can't do without the approval from council. Sometimes I tend to get a little bit passionate when we start talking about police, because I understand what they do every day. So if I came across a little bit brutal last night,
Chief, I want to reiterate, again, all I have to do is pick up the phone or come see you or whatever. So when I see graffiti on a very nice, right out in front of Little Caesars across from our little old city, and you got on it, and it was cleaned up, and that's the whole thing. We have proactive leadership ahead of the crime and staying ahead of the crime, and we do want to support that, and it's necessary for everything, our livelihood, everything we do. So thank you for being proactive.
yeah, thank you guys.
Chief,
All right, got another, Chief, don't run off.
Come on.
you really should promote the fact on October the 3rd, we're having Faith and Blue at the community
Faith and
center.
Blue.
Yes.
Yeah, Faith and Blue.
Yes. How's it coming?
We had our last meeting today. We're set to go next Tuesday. Everybody should come out, join us. I think it's going to be a really good deal. It's going to be a start of a really good thing here within the city between the faith-based churches and police department and community. We've got lots of stuff for the kids where we'll be playing games with them. We'll be getting dunked in water. We'll be eating donuts from fish strings. And all this competition will be against kids. It'll be against kids. And then we'll have a period where we'll have a question and answer. You'll get to ask us any question that you like. We put a lot of those on our website. We hadn't got a lot of them in. We did give that to the school today to put in the junior high schools to send some of that out to the kids. But we'll be giving out some prizes, and I think this is going to be a really good deal. Something that we're starting instead of National Night Out, because we'll be intentionally getting with people and talking to them.
Is it based at Cedar Break or is it downtown?
It's going to be downtown.
It's going to be downtown.
Downtown.
And it starts at 6 p.m.?
So it's 6 p.m.
Okay,
Good deal.
We'll feed you too.
next week.
6 p.m.
All right. Item 20, engineers report.
Code enforcement.
Where's code enforcement?
Code enforcement have
Code
anything?
enforcement.
Is there anything from Ms. Tilly?
Did Officer Tilly have
She
anything?
was there, is she?
No, if you guys have questions for her, she's definitely here.
I have a question. We have a building across the street, and I don't know if there's a sign in the yard, or that's one of those vinyl signs. Is that just a temporary sign?
It is.
Okay, I'm just curious.
It has been there a while.
You might want to tell them about 213 Prairie, 203. It'd be in both commercial and...
Oh, the commercial and residential? Yeah, that,
The GIS report too?
the northern part of that, the two properties, the northern portion is residential, and the actual property that the building sits on is commercial. They are two different zones.
What is the process to rezone that?
I'll get with cable bond, but it's typical zoning process after the planning commission and recommendation for council to rezone that piece of property. We don't have to rezone it to sell it, but it'd be more marketable if it's all in one zone.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, any others? All right. Item 20, engineers.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Going through our report, starting with the water well number 2 replacement, I think everybody is aware that well 2 is down. So moving forward from that, The hydrogeological report that was authorized at your last council meeting is underway, and we plan to bring a proposal to replace the well no later than your October 10th meeting, but potentially as early as your special meeting next week. The next item kind of ties into the water well 2 replacement. Wet rock is underway with the hydrogeological report. On flagship, so we received and sent over to the city pay estimate number 4 in the amount of $145,260.95. We also received a change order number 2 request in the amount of $5,570. What this was for was during the final inspection, we identified some inlets where the opening of the inlet is above street level, so it doesn't let water come in. This wasn't identified until the final inspection. These areas were not part of the contractor's scope of work. They were on sections that the contractor was not doing any work. So we asked the contractor to give us a price to just grind it down and make those inlets functional. So that's what change order number 2 is for. We feel it's a fair price. And I also wanted to note, and I think we've talked about it before, but we do anticipate approximately $70,000 in savings because as the contractor was going around the curve of flagship, they did not have to do any pavement removal in order to replace the storm sewer.
Very good.
Going on to 2023 sanitary sewer rehab phase 1. As y'all, I'm sure y'all have seen, they have started their pre-TV work. They've also put out door hangers that some or all of you have maybe received on your door. But we are, proceeding with our inspection and keeping on going with that one. And then the phase 2 project, this one we are finalizing up the design. We did receive TxDOT approval on that, and then once the design is complete, the project will be placed on hold until funding options are available for construction. The next few projects, Lift Station 10 and the 2 Old Plantersville extensions, just a reminder, these are both funded by their respective developers, and we're continuing with design and hope to be complete in the next couple of months. On the water line, it says we expect to submit to the county this month, and that was completed yesterday. So that one is sitting in county review as we speak. On the McCowan and Caroline waterline replacement, we're hoping to be complete with that set of plans next month, subject to any updates that come with the final streetscape design for the downtown improvements project. This project, I know we've mentioned it, will also be placed on hold until the streetscape project proceeds. I'm going to jump down to item number 11, your TBDS permit amendment for your Town Creek wastewater treatment plant. That will be submitted to the TCEQ this week. We've gotten all the final documents pulled together, and that package will be mailed in this week. On the water plant 3 improvements, contractor is still working on addressing their punch list items. The big one that they are working on is the cooling tower repair. Right now, the contractor is just waiting on materials to arrive. And then the Buffalo Springs Drive reconstruction and traffic signal, we are ready to go as soon as we get the deposit from Home Depot and the agreement is executed. Going on to the next page, speaking of Home Depot, we did provide a conditional approval to their plans on September 1st, all subject to execution of the 380 agreement, so they're ready to go once it is signed. Jumping down to plat reviews, the 3 Redbird Meadows plat reviews that you see, we did return those comments yesterday, and they're addressing them hopefully to get on the next planning and zoning agenda. And then the same with the Montgomery Bend Section 1 final plat. We received a further revised plat yesterday addressing our comments, and we're going to take a look at that one, see if it's ready for planning and zoning as well. Getting into ongoing construction projects, both of these are related to Montgomery Bend. The big ones are the offsite water line and the water sanitary paving and drainage within the sections. They are nearing completion of both of those, and in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be having a final walkthrough with the contractor to put the punch list together for them. We've got our 1-year warranty inspections listed. Jumping down to the very bottom of this page, under the TxDOT item, is the 105 in Buffalo Springs traffic signal. So I know we've mentioned this, but the plans are about 90% complete. One thing that TxDOT mentioned was the need for a new traffic signal warrant analysis. What we're going to do instead to hopefully prevent the need to do that is tomorrow we'll be shooting additional drone footage to show them the development that actually exists today. They were basing their warrant analysis off of Google Images, which, as we all know, is not updated regularly. So we'll be sending them, the current build out of Town Creek Crossing, Popeyes, Dutch Bros, Expresso, all the development that has come in and around that intersection to show them the need for the signal today. Going to the next page, I'm going to jump down to item 5, the Lone Star Parkway Bridge repair. The county has informed us that the contractor addressed all of their punch list items with the exception of turf establishment, but as the weather's cooling off and we're starting to get some rain again, I do expect them to go out and start establishing turf. The next 2 items, Lone Star Parkway and Buffalo Springs, the signal and the roadway, especially on the roadway, as y'all are all much more aware than I am, you drive it every day. They are under construction on those turn lanes, getting them put in. And so they are moving and grooving. And
Estimated November completion, or what's the estimate on that?
I believe it's November. I have not gotten a firm date from the county on that, but as soon as I have it, I'll let y'all know.
All right.
Is there any kind of update on Discount Tires?
Not that I've heard, but unless Dave has something else.
Other than we're starting. I think they were pouring some of the piers the other day. There was a concrete truck out there, so they're in the foundation work now. Moving along.
I also noticed that Popeyes looks like it's finally moving forward.
Yep.
So that's good.
They're hiring. If you're interested. Question on, when we do our warranty inspections, is any of that done in the night for lighting purposes?
Not usually, no.
I would recommend that, and I have tangible evidence, as Chris recalls last year, and now it's hitting me again. It's down the end of my street. I asked Chris, or maybe at least Chris, and y'all did measure it. It was supposed to be 300 feet apart. They were 475. So we got this ginormous dark spot, a pole that should have been there, and you can't catch those. So now you got Town Creek. I've heard the same types of things walking up and down streets where the light doesn't even reach. And I know some of that probably spills out on the city, and we can't take on all that. I'm just saying, here, the taxpayer is saying to me, and I'm saying to y'all, it doesn't make any sense not to check the lighting out, and I think we need to. Comments?
So the one thing that we've changed since then, so the lighting is controlled by Entergy. They're the ones who do the ultimate install and the layout. So what we've added to all future plans since that came up is a note, and it's in your ordinance, that so they show the lighting locations on their plans, and there's a note that says any change from this, and any change to the spacing has to come back to the city for variance to hopefully.
Okay, so does that include Mid-South? Because I'm on the west side, we're.
Yeah, all electric providers. It's not specific to Entergy.
So I went specifically into the office last year to try to get anything done, and so now we're stuck.
Right.
We don't have any lighting, and now, because you know why they think about it, it's because October.
Right.
Halloween and all the, so anyway. Anything else? Item 21, City Administrative Report.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of updates. The hydrology issue with Town Creek and Atkins Creek. I've met with the two main developers that were involved along developing those areas. And we're working together right now. Don't have a whole lot to tell you other than I'll just keep you posted as I can as this thing evolves. Sip and Stroll started back up for the remainder of this year. Last Thursday, I believe. The next one is this Thursday at 4 p.m. downtown. I don't know. I think the attendance was fairly good. Had, I think, 10 vendors out there. And it's just going to get better as this goes on. I have in here for the 7th and the 11th. I'll be at the ICMA conference. It's actually starting next week, so I don't know what I was thinking. I'm glad I caught it. But I'll be gone from Saturday the 1st, Sunday the 1st, through Wednesday. That's when I do all my credits, my Cs for the year to maintain my credential. And I should be back out Wednesday or Thursday. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions?
I forgot to ask, Mike, I had sent an email a week or two ago about Homecoming Park and about the music in the park. Did you get my email?
Yes.
Do you have an update?
Asked, but
I'm sorry?
I said, I don't remember exactly what it asked, but
Homecoming Park, Pat Easley called, and she had noted that the lights were out, and she called a couple weeks prior to my email and hadn't heard anything, and just wanted an update to see if it's being addressed.
yeah, so the reason the lights were out is the power pole. We had to replace the service pole at home. It was rotten at the bottom and it was leaning. So to do that, we had to kill the power of the park. We had McCaffrey Electric replace it, and then it took Energy over 2 weeks to get the power hooked back up. And then whenever they finally got it hooked back up, there were still some changes that Cody McCaffrey needed to make. But I'm almost positive that it's completely corrected now.
Okay, I'll check with her. I didn't hear back, and she called and hadn't heard back, so what would be, it'd be great if you could just send me that so I can, when we've got taxpayers asking questions. And then, music in the park, did we participate in that?
No.
We didn't. Did we give cones and items from the city for it? The reason I ask is at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, I saw our city truck coming from that area, and I'm like, oh, because we didn't get any advertisement as sponsors or even mentioned. Matter of fact, not nice things have been said about the city, and that's why it was moved outside the city. So I was just curious if we participated in any manner.
No,
Okay.
she didn't ask for any verification.
Okay.
If she would, we would have let her borrow them, but we wouldn't have come in on Sunday to borrow overtime.
It was a city truck, huh? Okay.
All right, anything else? If not, we have departmental reports, items 15 through 21. I entertain a motion to approve those reports.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Carol, second by Casey. Motion is debatable, minimal majority vote. All in favor of approving the departmental reports, items 15 through 21, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve departmental reports. Items 15 through 21. Executive session, adjourned in a closed executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Government Code of the State of Texas, Section 551.071, consultation with the attorney, Redbird Meadow pending litigation, 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, 551.074, personnel matters. All right, it is 7:21 and we are adjourned to this executive session.
Yes, sir.
That's a hell of a catch.
Well, I was looking on our website.
Now, you go right ahead.
Oh. It is 7:58. We returned from executive session. And are there council inquiries?
So Tuesday night, October the 3rd, is the,
Faith in Blue.
and it's at the community building, just downtown somewhere. We don't know.
It's at,
It is at the
it's
community.
not in the community building, but it is,
At the T?
I call it Jacob's parking lot.
Okay.
Well, the majority of it is in the community building grounds.
Grounds,
I know
yes,
Kevin's going to be set up, the DJ's going to be set up on the stage.
on the stage.
But the diagram that I got earlier shows him at the stage, but everything else on the grounds of the community.
And I think that they're going to feed everybody, and they're going to have a big tent inside the community building. I think that's.
Inside the grounds.
Inside the grounds, not inside the community building. But the community building itself will not be utilized, the building itself.
I don't think so. The map that I saw didn't say that, it just showed that there was a tent.
Supposedly, everything's going to be outside so that there'll be a lot of interaction with everyone.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
We'll see it.
Wear your coat and tie.
Oh. And then this Thursday is
Sip and stroll.
Metcalf's
Yes, Thursday night.
thing.
Metcalf's political thing, 6 o'clock, I think.
5:30.
5:30, we need to be in place.
Yeah. He wanted everybody there.
We'll make
Okay. So everybody try to be there 5:30 on Thursday.
I'll be out of town.
It's in Conroe, I can't remember the
It's in
address.
Luminaire.
It's at the
right there.
Luminaire.
It's on
Pine Lake. Pine Lake.
Okay.
Road.
All right, I'll find it.
Did anybody need tickets? Or everybody got tickets?
Yeah, and actually, you don't even need tickets.
You don't need it. He's already said that
I
he'll
didn't know if
recognize
you
us when we
wanted
get there.
some extra. I got
Any others?
Okay.
All right, I've been in contact with Brett Sebastian. He's the Texas State Director of GoRail.org. He's making somewhat of a lobby effort and keeping mayors and other interested people working hard to promote applications for rail infrastructure grants like Rail Crossing Elimination Program and opposing schemes that would reroute trains or curtail materials they can ship, which would then go to trucks and local roadways. In other words, he's lobbying to keep legislation from passing laws that say that they can't go on railroads. Because if goods and services, especially heavy stuff, can't go on railroads, then where do they got to go? On our streets. So there's some efforts there, and I just, before I started the meeting, scheduled an October 10th meeting with the executive director of HGAC and 2 other representatives. So I'll be meeting with them on October 10th and taking my best shot at saying, hey, how about us? See if they can't re-demographic us and get us some help for our infrastructure. So I'll let you know after that meeting how that goes. All right?
Well, we'll certainly be thinking about you Thursday and Friday.
And then I'll have some shoulder surgery on Thursday, Friday. Get that 90-mile-an-hour fastball back that I never had. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to
We have a
adjourn.
motion. I'll take Carol's as a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, you're crazy. It is 8:02 and we are adjourned.